Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks. It's a Wednesday. This is episode 22. We're doing a full episode in midweek because that's cool. I hope you like it. How
Just
are
couldn't
you
wait.
doing this? I know. Couldn't, yeah, that's the way to frame perfect. That's the way to frame it. We couldn't
That's
wait.
right. That's right. We're just
Too
too
excited.
excited. Yeah,
Yes.
on the same page. Good.
How's your week been going so far?
I can't believe it's already Wednesday. Um, is just flying already. Probably because I have somewhere to go this weekend because I'm camping up in Duluth.
Woo,
Yeah, so it's
woo.
always I feel like before a trip, you think about like, oh, I have so much time, like we'll get to packing and thinking of all the things we got to
Oh yeah.
do. Then suddenly it's like it's Wednesday. Leaving
Mhm.
less than 2 days. Get your ass in gear. So, it's
Yep.
Wednesday. What are
Yep.
you doing? How's your,
The
week going?
good, warm. I've been doing all kinds of stuff outside, so definitely
Mhm.
getting some sun and I cut all my hair off, so I'm getting like burnt now on my neck. Gotta take extra precautions. So that kind of thing. But yeah, just been
Yeah.
work yet pretty much. So
Yeah,
um
we've been doing some work in, like, our backyard, like, planting some new bushes and plants and things like that. So, yeah, kinda the same, being more aware of, like, "Oh, yeah, this is what it's like to see the sun. Don't have to
mm,
stay inside all the
yeah, it's
time."
been warm. It's been warm. The um I my office is already hot, very hot. So when you have sunburn on top of it in places, it's even warmer. But
It's
well,
very delicate
this
of you to
week,
say sunburn in places. Threw out a little, like,
well, yeah,
mystery tidbit for our audience there.
yeah,
Sunburn in
that's perfect.
places.
hmm hmm Yeah, the illusion that makes it sound more interesting than it is. Yes, that's
Right.
good. Um, so well, for this week's episode, um,
Mhm.
we're going to cover some news. It's pretty video game focused to start, and then in the latter half, we started a new show. It's called Doom Patrol. The show isn't new, but the next season is going to be coming out. That is new. So if you're interested in watching us break down episode 1 of season 1 of Doom Patrol, that will be in the latter half of the episode. So stick around. And in the meantime, we'll get into some news once you tell me what you're drinking.
Well, in honor of a drink holiday that is coming up on Friday, the day I leave, um, June 19th is World Martini Day. So I have here a martini in my hand in a martini glass. So
Nice.
cheers. I'm a little ahead of the holiday, but feel like I've always been ahead of the curve. That just matches.
Yep, that's just you. Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
Eight ball here, Andrea there. Like you're ahead of it. You're good to go.
That's right. That's how I live my life.
Or is it? Yeah. Okay. Is it
You could be
ahead of the
ahead of
eight
the
ball or
eight
behind
you
the
could
eight
be
ball?
ahead of the 8 ball, and you can also be ahead of the curveball, but you can also be behind the curveball. A lot of places you can be. Oh, just I guess you can
Well,
pick
you're
where
in
you
the
wanna
good
be in
places.
life. Yeah. I'm
You're
in
in
the
the good
good lane.
places. So. Yeah.
Cheers to that. How about yourself?
Yes.
What are you
Salute.
drinking?
I've got a martini as well.
Hmm.
Mine's in a bit more of a coupe kind
Ooh,
of glass.
look at you, fancy
Um,
man. What you got going on there
yeah.
for us?
So in honor the of Doom Patrol, I have named this drink the Doom Patrol. I'm just
Right.
gonna keep naming drinks. So I did not have vermouth to make a proper martini.
Okay.
So vermouth being a like wine from usually Italy or France that has a lot of like aromatic herbs in it.
Mhm.
So what I did instead is I used red wine, a red blend that I have.
Okay.
And then for the aromatics, I use this thing called Rabbit in the Rye. It's a German style herbal liqueur.
All right.
Um,
Cool bottle.
so I get my herbs. Yeah, it is. It's from Minnesota too. Um,
Oh.
but yeah, I get the herbalness from that's a word from this, and then the wine is a bit. It's really a bit funky almost, and then it's a gin based martini. Gin
Okay.
goes well with like botanical stuff, or whatever.
Yes, absolutely.
Um, so it's 2 parts gin, 2 parts the wine,
Mhm.
um, 1 part the botanical, and then lemon juice with a needless twist of lemon in here because you can't see it.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say you can't really see mine either. I also have a gin martini. I did have vermouth. Because I've been using it actually. I make like a risotto with vermouth, which is quite
oh,
good.
okay.
So I just happen to have some on hand because I was actually planning on making that. Um, so that worked out well for me. And then I added a dash of lemon juice, and I had a lemon peel, and I was like, I'm not gonna like fool around with that, and have it slide all around my glass, and try to be drinking, and the lemon peel gets in my face, and I dump my martini on myself. So
Wow, this sounds like infomercial problems.
I
Like you're frying something and oh, the kitchen's still on fire.
I know. Well, and I mean, normally I really wouldn't worry about it, but I feel like I'm just like surrounded by electronics right now.
Yeah.
I've got like three
Mhm.
screens going on, my camera, my microphone, my headphones, like just don't need it dumping on something
You
because I was
know,
being an idiot and
I
being
see
like
a
an
product.
infomercial level human.
I see a product. Can be made by Podcast on the Rocks, and it's basically a martini glass, but with like a little sippy cup seal right on top.
Ooh, I like it. Little lip up
Yeah.
top. Yeah.
Yep. hmm Now then
Right.
you can reenact. Well, let's get fake computers or old ones, and you can reenact this disaster of the
Right.
God. You remember all the times when the lemon peel like flies in your face, and then I
Yes.
think this would be a good thing.
I could totally be that person at the start of an infomercial. You've been trying to drink a drink. Your
Yeah.
garnish slips in your face. And oh no, you've spilled it everywhere. I've got
Yep.
this.
You got it. That's
I
it.
could just like also be the disappointed person who's like, oh,
Yeah. Yep.
you
I'll come
know,
in with the miracle product, like
right?
just like kind of twists on.
I'm just
hmm
pops in a frame.
Yeah. Yep. The color turns from gray to in color.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Crucial to the success of an
Yeah.
infomercial.
So, do you think that
Perfect.
infomercial do you think the infomercials, do you think they must be like self-aware at this point and like have or have fun with
Oh,
it almost? It's
yeah,
got to be, right?
absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I mean, at this point, not
hmm
unaware of what people are saying. You
Yeah.
know what I
Okay.
mean? Like you're in on the joke, I feel like.
hmm Right.
At
Yep.
least I would hope.
Um,
Otherwise, that's a sad existence if you can ignore that level of, kind of
yes. Cultural
meta.
awareness. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Cultural meta. Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, I call it Doom Patrol just
Right.
because it is kind of a Frankenstein of a drink, kind of a misfit, making what we can of what we got
And
here. So
very apropos. I like it.
yeah. So well, in news, video gaming
Mhm.
news. I don't really have any way to get into this other than like there's been lots of news. The video game stuff has been everywhere. It's all spread out everywhere because E3 is not a thing and all that.
Right.
So we've got Star Wars Squadrons was shown off in a trailer um
See that.
this week. hmm I think it looks well done.
Mhm.
Um I played
That's
in the okay.
oh, we were so Minnesota. We both just go ahead.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say, I think it looks like a pretty sweet pilot game. And by pilot, I mean
sure.
like actual flying, not like testing. beginning game
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yep. Right. Yeah, I played Star Wars X-Wing back in the day on my
Hmm.
Mac. I played Star Wars, um, maybe it was X-Wing 2, and then Rebel Assault, and then they had the um, what were they called? Star Wars, yeah, Rogue Squadron on GameCube, I think is where it started, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. Alan confirms Rogue Squadron, but yeah, I'm not sure if it was. I think it was GameCube. Maybe eventually came to everything. I don't know. But
Hmm.
it was well done. I've never been very good at those games, but
Hmm.
I have fun with them.
Yeah, I'm not the best at anything in video games with a vehicle. Like,
Okay.
I never win Mario Kart. I can be fine. I'm never usually like last place, but I'm not great either.
Hmm.
I'm never first, and I definitely had this lack of ability confirmed as I moved. Recently I've been getting into new areas in Borderlands. Um, and in the Doll Headlands, you have to like drive this, kind of, it's like half tanker, half go kart kind of looking thing. Um,
Sure.
but I suck. I'm terrible at it. I just like weave all over the road. I overcorrect all the time. Had several tasks that I was supposed to do while in this car. I just got out and like used my rocket launcher because I was just so bad at it. Oh, I'm
That's
yeah.
funny.
If you ever need anybody to play a vehicle video game, I am not your person.
Check you out. Okay.
Yes,
Like out. Okay. All right.
yeah, I'm
Alan
out
does.
unless you need somebody to lose that. If you want to beat me, if you want to feel better about yourself, like go ahead.
Well, maybe like halfway into a long night, you could manage Beerio Kart again
Yes,
and win that. Maybe.
yes. I've
So
I've had better success with Beerio Kart.
okay. All right.
Oh, I don't know what that is, but yeah. If you just yeah,
Yep.
are going regular Mario Kart out.
Yeah, if I guess if people don't know what well, firstly, Alan does. He says that Rogue Squadron, the first one, it was
Well,
on Nintendo
N64.
64, so older than I thought. Yeah. But then Beerio Kart, for those that don't know, um, is a game where you start with a can of beer and you must finish it by the time you complete your race in Mario Kart, but you cannot be driving while drinking, which
Yes.
I mean applies to real life too. So. Um, Yeah. So if you win the race but you didn't finish your beer, doesn't matter.
I
Moot.
am a little better at that because I feel like I can sort of like set my character on like a little path to go and then chug the beer and it's fine. But it's like when I have to think about driving that I'm like, oh, let me just like correct this a little bit here. Oh, wait, that was too much. Like, oh, let me go
Hmm.
back and do it a little more. Like, I really should like get out of my own head when I drive.
I'm sure
Beer helps you
we're
do it.
like, yeah, I'm sure we're like a sad sight to people that can really like shotgun a beer well or something. Because I've
Hmm.
never played against someone that's attempted to do that, but I'm sure someone could just down it and then go on, then just race.
Absolutely.
But that's not me. I'm a good boy. I don't drink much. And then yeah.
Says the guy who names his own drinks.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Touche. Um. So yeah, I'm kind of excited for that coming out in October. It can be played in VR, which I think might be neat. Seems like a good application of virtual reality. And in terms of things that are out now, Persona 4 Golden is out now on PC. The Persona games have largely been either a in Japan only thing or locked on the PlayStation system
Okay.
um, in the States and such. So Ashley played Persona 5 and loved it on the PS4, but PS4 doesn't do much for back compatibility generally, so you can't play. She can't play Persona 4 or 3, which are both supposed to be excellent.
Mhm.
And now they've brought Persona 4 to PC, so if you are interested in more Persona games coming to other platforms, pick it up on Steam.
Speaking of
Let's
other
see.
platforms, um,
Mhm.
I was watching some of the Star Wars trailer game and noticed that Jeff Keighley mentioned that it was not that he hadn't heard yet that it was going to be available for PS5. I thought it was interesting.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Ah,
available. It's going to be available for PS4, but he said they haven't technically announced PS5 yet. I thought that was really interesting considering it's coming out in October.
that
I mean, I imagine it would
is
have to be.
yes. That would be very odd, and I would not understand the reasoning behind that.
I didn't at all.
Um,
I was really surprised when he said it.
yeah, that's odd. I'll click on the pre-order. Okay, so right. So it says, I guess here's the complication. It's not
Okay.
announced for the Xbox Series X either. So it is announced for
Okay.
no next generation system. The
Got it.
difference being that if you buy this game on the Xbox One, it will play on the Xbox Series X.
Right.
So it is in essence
And
already locked
uh,
for the new
right for
Xbox platform.
right.
Right.
But speaking
But
of
that's
lack of backwards capability among PlayStation, like that's
right.
really
Or
interesting.
forwards capability in
Yeah,
this. I
right.
mean, like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's right. Yeah, it's
Forward
exactly.
back,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're towards the end of the life cycle and we do get those. Everybody's got to decide how that game is going to sit. A
Mhm.
lot of games are developed for a long time on the current gens and they're going to come out on the tail end of that system. I just bought Okami HD for the Switch because it's on sale for $10. And that game was, regarded as kind of a swan song for the PS2. So, games do come out of the tail end of the system. When they do, if they're good, they usually make it to the next generation too. But
Yeah, I just I
like
don't know.
Last of Us. Yeah.
I thought this one was particularly odd not be
Yeah.
announced for PS5.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing they could be thinking with that is it's coming out in October. I'm guessing the systems won't be out in October, the new ones. So
And not that I've
they
heard
don't want to
anyway.
lose sales. They don't want to lose sales for the current gen. They don't want to lose pre-orders and such. Um, Having people wait. They want that
Mhm.
initial sale. Buy it now for the system you own, system you love.
Mhm.
And then in a month or two from after it's launched, the new system comes out. And a lot of people are done with it already anyway. So,
Right.
yeah. Interessante.
Mhm.
Um, well, we've been hearing a lot of game news, but we haven't been until like today. We haven't been hearing much from Nintendo.
Yes.
So they've been markedly silent.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel like been almost over focused on Animal Crossing.
yep,
Not a lot
they're
else
really
has been
lucky,
going on.
honestly,
Yeah, truly.
that Animal Crossing was the blockbuster hit.
Yeah.
They
Which
sold tons of systems. Their
which I
stock is
think
at a 52-week high today. Yeah.
I think was weirdly helped by the corona. I mean,
Oh yeah,
I don't think that's like
100%.
um inappropriate to say that, I mean, it's just a side
No.
effect of what's going on right now. So, yeah,
Yeah.
kind of like a perfect storm of everything going Nintendo's way that they really haven't had to focus on much else because of the
Yep.
runaway success of Animal Crossing, and now, like, they're kind of like, "Okay, all right, we should probably look to the next thing."
So I was looking into a little, and they were supposed to have
Mhm.
a Nintendo Direct, I think in June, and that
Right,
was canceled
right.
um, for COVID-19 stuff,
Mhm,
delays and everything. And the question was, well, a lot of these other companies are hosting their own events and stuff. Why not Nintendo? And Nintendo, I mean, if you look at their online platform, you can see how behind they are.
mhm.
And So the under to this person that I was watching on YouTube, their kind of some of their assumptions they came to was Japan employees, citizens are not well equipped to teleconference slash work from home. They do not have that, like, here's your work laptop that's powerful and you can bring home and then continue
Right.
your work on. They do not have the internet infrastructure to allow that someone can go home and then just be connected all the time with, great internet speeds.
Mhm.
They're not prepared for that kind of workflow. Um,
Mhm.
and that's probably really hindering Nintendo.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, that makes a lot of
and
sense.
I'm I'm worried. I hope that because every year since the Switch has came out, it's been pretty steady flow of stuff. And this year has been the first year that, other than Animal Crossing, they've really relied on third party stuff. And it would be nice for them, even if there's not immediate production of it, to be announcing a little more stuff. I know we got Paper Mario, and now today
Right?
we got new Pokemon Snap. Um, so that's good, but I don't know why you couldn't have. I suppose they just don't want to announce something they can't deliver on. When the
Mhm.
timeframes are questionable. So,
Yeah, I mean,
but
it's tough because you get excited about things and you wanna show people and you wanna, like, let people know you're working on stuff. But as I was kind of listening to, Keeley, go over a few other things in addition to talking about Star Wars. It takes a lot of time, especially from home, to also produce like sneak peek trailers, the sneak peek gameplay. That's a production in of itself, and that takes
yep,
manpower and machine power away
yep,
from actually like development. So I mean, if they're already ill equipped, I get that like this is an even like an extra burden to try and put something together like this.
yep,
Sucks, but
absolutely.
yeah, get it.
Hmm. Yep. I think just a simple roadmap PDF kind of thing or whatever. I think a lot
Mhm,
of these places too, they feel it's endearing to do, look, I'm on my webcam, and like it's blurry
mhm.
and, whatever, just like everybody else, kind of thing.
Right.
I think I've brought that up before, but something like that. And maybe that's just not up to Nintendo's standards, so they just
Mhm.
don't, if we can't do it kind of the way we want, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Um, or maybe they don't have all that much and they're using it as an out. So,
Um, I mean, it's the perfect year. It's kind of, 2020, I think we're gonna look back at as kind of, a rogue or a lost year kind of thing, Like stuff still came
mhm.
out and stuff is still happening, but I think there's just gonna be so much, leniency on obviously we had troubles working from home and trying to create from home that, it's just kind of a wash. Like if you didn't do much, like it's the perfect cover. It's the perfect excuse.
Yep. Yep.
Oh.
Yep, for sure. Well, good luck, Nintendo. Their stock's
Mhm.
doing well, so I guess it doesn't matter, but
Right.
hopefully we got more plans for the year.
Right, you've always got Animal
Um,
Crossing.
yep, it's a never-ending game. Then there's a game very different
Yeah.
than Pokemon Snap or anything like that. 13, and it's a remake. It was one of the earlier cell shaded games, kind of looked like a comic book. Came out, so it's kind of a
Mm,
what's the word I'm looking for? But it's a precursor to Borderlands
mhm.
in a way.
Yes.
Just in that's a shooter that's cell shaded, that kind of thing. So I thought they released a trailer and I thought it looked fun.
Yeah. It's, it's very, like, Jason Bourne, in a
Sure.
video game kinda thing.
Mhm. Yep.
Um,
I'm just glad it's not a like, oh, we're gonna just port this to Switch, you know,
yeah,
to
mhm.
make a buck. It's a remake and looks good. So
Yeah, I thought the visuals were excellent. It was going over our show notes this week, it was kind of funny to go from, like, Pokemon Snap with, like, adorable animals playing in the sand and eating their little fruits and berries, and then it was like, Hitman. to kill somebody in stealth mode. Who
Yep.
am I? And it was like, oh, those are those are some polar opposite choices in video games.
Yep. Sure are.
So something for everybody.
Yep. Well, speaking of other things that look good,
Mhm.
Jason Momoa is Aquaman, and Aquaman is in Fortnite.
Yeah,
Fortnite new season came out, new battle pass, and things are flooded. They're underwater. So last season was Deadpool and X Force stuff. This season we get Aquaman. So
perfect.
yep, I'm guessing they're probably planning to put Wonder Woman in at some point for the
Would
movie.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Aquaman 2 isn't slated to come out, I think, until well, it wasn't. Knows, like I said, this is kind of a lost year. It wasn't slated to come out till 2021, but now it could be 2022
mhm.
with
Well, and that's
production
an
schedules
interesting
pushed back.
it's an interesting kind of aside now. What do you think they should do? I watched a pretty in-depth YouTube video breakdown of options for Aquaman 2 in the sense of what do you do with Mira? Because of her Amber Heard's legal issues, there
Mm,
is some real talk of is she going to be in it at all? Are they going to
mhm,
recast Mira? Are they going
mhm,
to write her out somehow?
sure.
What are your choices, you know? Where do they
Yeah,
go?
yeah. I think I mean, if we're looking at patterns that, um, superhero movies have gone through, it wouldn't be unheard of to write her out and have
Right.
some sort of, like, different character replacement. Um, thinking, like, Thor in particular. First off, we had writing Jane Foster out. I mean, she's coming back now with like Thor, Love and Thunder, but I mean, she was written out. Um, and then I'm also thinking in terms of Thor, he had his, kind of whole end posse be a part of it. And then guys all got killed and his male warrior friend Sif just kind of disappeared and was replaced with Valkyrie for the 3rd movie, and will be continue to be replaced going forward. So, I mean, it's not unheard of for
Yeah.
them to just, like, if a character they feel like isn't working or they've got other stuff going on, other commitments, write them out and replace them.
Yep.
you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So, I
Cool.
just yeah, I mean, you know, sidekicks and love interests equally are I feel like replaceable, so
Yeah. Yeah, it's too bad. Well, maybe I'll link in the description or something when we put this on YouTube to the video I watched. The channel's called Beyond the Trailer, and she does a really good breakdown of
mhm,
some comic-based options that could make a lot of
sure,
sense potentially. So,
sure.
but
I
yeah, I'm
mean
excited. I didn't get to jump in yet. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say they've got time to figure it out. I mean, whichever
Yep.
whichever avenue they choose, they've got some time, so
Yep. Right.
see what they come up with.
Um, I haven't heard much about the new season yet. Just saw the preview. Haven't got to jump in yet and try it. So I'll report back on my thoughts later. In other DC news, you had put
Mhm.
in here that about the DC Fandome. What is that?
Yeah. Yeah, so apparently, with, the in-person Comic-Con being canceled this year, much as everything else has been, Comic-Con is now doing an online-based event. But since they're doing that, DC decided that they didn't need to have, as heavy of a presence at Comic-Con, and they were gonna kind of do their own thing. So they created their own online event. Believe it's August 22nd. It'll be like a just a one-day kind of online thing, and they're calling it DC Fandome. And they're just gonna do a lot of, interviews with cast members. The Rock just announced, like, he's gonna sign on for, like, a Zoom interview, about Black
Oh,
Adam, obviously, that's coming up. They're gonna show clips from Wonder Woman, now that it's been pushed back, they're gonna give, like, an extended trailer with new scenes that we haven't seen before,
No,
and then they're
no,
well,
no.
they're doing
We
it.
okay. So take a pause here. Because we talked about
Okay.
this just a little bit earlier today. Like, we don't need more clips of Wonder Woman. I saw a trailer in the theater for that movie, and it looks awesome. And people like the first one, so we don't need to see more. You're just gonna ruin things.
It
Release this
yeah.
film. Just release it. Hashtag release
Yeah,
Wonder Woman.
I do agree with you there. I feel like, yeah, there's no point in keeping pushing it back if you're just gonna, like, keep releasing, like, bits of it. Like, don't release it in these weird little, like, half measures. Just, like, commit to releasing it, um, you know, or holding off. Like,
Hmm.
choose, make up your mind. There's no, like, halfway. I agree with that.
Yep.
But it's I mean, obviously not my decision. So, yeah, that's
Well,
what they're planning to
oh,
do is show more of Wonder Woman 1984. Um, and I think they're gonna make some casting announcements, in other movies like Aquaman 2, Shazam, and one other that I can't remember offhand. Oh, and they're
yeah.
gonna talk some more about, like, the, Snyder extended cut. Oh,
Oh,
Suicide
okay.
Squad, that's what I'm trying to remember.
Mm,
They're gonna make some, announcements about casting in Suicide Squad and about filming.
okay.
Yeah, so, I mean,
Interesting.
it's a very it's a bold move, for them to just kind of go out and create their own thing, and we'll see if it pays off. I mean, they're starting to pick up steam. I think DC Universe is starting to pick up steam. They've got even their own, streaming platform, so it's not, like, unheard of for them to just be like, "Yeah, let's see how far we can take this." We've got our own
Yeah.
content, we're building our universe. Let's see what we can do for promo. Why attach ourselves to Comic-Con when maybe we could, promote our own work better.
Yeah.
So,
Um, it it also mentions and it makes sense that there could be a teaser for the Batman.
mhm.
And that makes total sense.
Yeah, they, like,
Um,
just had started, you know, tiptoeing into filming,
okay.
and
Yeah, they
then
could put
obviously
something
had to be
together if
shut
they
down.
want.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Then there is a talk of the um reveal of the next Arkham Batman game.
Yep.
That'd be cool. So yeah, they got plenty of stuff, especially if it's over a course of one day. That'd be nice.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah. I, kinda like that. I think they're not stretching it out too far, trying to make too much of it. I mean, a day like, they have a solid day's worth of content. I think if they tried to do, like, a 2 or 3-day event, they'd be pushing it.
Yep. Hmm.
So, yeah, interesting. I mean,
Nice.
something new to see, what people think and how it works out, and, I guess if they feel like it wasn't worth it, then they've really not lost a lot, and they can just go back to Comic-Con next year.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
Mhm.
So let's see here. I'm looking up like this trail here because, like you'd mentioned, they have their own streaming service, and so because there's been DC Universe,
Mhm.
but do they own HBO? Does Warner
Oh.
Brothers own HBO? It's Turner. Is it Turner Entertainment? That's them? Turner
That's
Entertainment.
I feel like it's so hard to tell these days with, like,
I
different
know.
companies who are merging under, like, different umbrellas. It's like, who actually is it? Like, Detective Game, the source. Sherlock
Yeah.
out, the source.
So HBO is owned by Home Box Office Incorporated, a Warner
Okay.
Media Entertainment. So Warner Media Entertainment, owner Warner Media, which is
Warner Bros.
AT&T. AT&T, Warner Media
Yes,
Entertainment,
that's right. AT&T does own
HBO.
HBO. 'Cause,
Yeah. So
John Oliver
hmm,
makes mention of it almost weekly on his show, so I should have known that.
um, interesting. So, okay, but then Warner Brothers is listed here. Warner Media. Warner Media LLC is an American multinational mass media entertainment conglomerate owned by AT&T and headquartered. Okay. So, if I'm getting this right, AT&T owns Warner Media, which owns um which owns HBO, well, which
Mhm,
owns Warner Media Entertainment, which is HBO, Cinemax, TBS, TNT, True TV, and Otter Media,
mhm.
um, and Warner Media News and Sports, which is oversees CNN, CNN International,
Oh, okay.
Turner Sports, Sportsnet, MLB Network, NBA TV, and Warner Brothers, who
Okay.
owns
Yeah.
Turner Classic Movies, Warner Brothers, obviously, Boomerang, Adult Swim, and
Mm,
DC.
yes.
Ah, it's so much.
I know,
It's so
I
much.
know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
it
right.
makes your
Okay.
head
So yes,
explode.
they have their own streaming thing, which now it just leads more to why did DC create their own separate thing, DC Universe? When they have HBO Max now,
Right.
HBO has the clout, they have the eyeballs, which is part of the reason we're talking about Doom Patrol because you had this
Exactly.
show that was locked on DC Universe that no one bought because it wasn't that great of a deal, and people seem to like the show. Well, now
Mhm.
season 2 is coming out on HBO Max, and season 1 is there now as well. And I think there's going to be more eyeballs on it. People are going to be looking for things
Absolutely.
to watch. What else do I watch on HBO? What's this thing? And
Right.
obviously, they're going to start with season 1. So
Yeah,
there it
and
is.
I think that, HBO made it wasn't it was just maybe a week or 2 ago, HBO made a deal with, um, cable providers who provide HBO Max. We'd kind of been talking about HBO Max and the launch of it and how we were all confused about, like, you have HBO Go, if you have HBO Now, do you have HBO Max? Like, do you have to sign up? Like, do you get
Yep.
HBO Max for a certain period of time? So they just announced that they made a deal with certain cable providers that if you pay for an HBO subscription through your cable provider, you now have access to HBO Max free as part of that.
Perfect.
That's
Perfect.
how I figured out that we have Xfinity, we pay for HBO, and we have HBO Max. Which I think is a
Mhm.
smart idea because I think with all the confusion on its rollout, HBO was like, "Okay, we need to get more eyes on HBO Max, get people hooked into our content before we start trying to be like, let's start charging more for subscriptions and things
Yeah.
like that."
Right.
'Cause it was just
Yep.
too confusing. Like nobody knew what was happening.
Yep.
Oh.
Well, as an aside, my brother-in-law Luke is in the chat, and he says I look warm, and you would be correct. I one look warm because I've had lots of sun, and two I look warm because I am warm. I am quite warm. I have my fan on me, but so I can only do so much. So, yep, it's astute observation. Um, but yeah, it's I I'm glad this is here. I hope they can make this work. Have you heard about the Harley Quinn show coming to HBO Max?
I've heard, but not much.
They need to move all that stuff. Move all of it. Move
Mhm.
all of it. Make DC Universe just literally a comic book subscription service.
Yes.
And they could be
I
the first ones to do it right because Marvel
I
hasn't done it right yet
honestly
either. So,
agree. I honestly don't think DC Universe should be in streaming at all. Makes
no,
0 sense.
right. Get
'Cause
Young Justice on
nobody knows
there.
it's there.
No. And if people do and they look into it, it's what another thing I'm going to pay $10 a month for. Another
Yes.
thing.
It's
You know,
it's
I,
honestly
I
too small.
Yep.
It's too limited. I
Yep.
mean, I know, like, kind of individual channels are branching out. I mean, obviously, like, we have the originator of Netflix, we have Hulu, we have Amazon Prime, and now we're like moving into like HBO, getting into HBO Max, Apple TV, NBC's got the Peacock, but they've all got so much more content than DC does. That's the point. Is like they're
Well,
not just singularly focused. They've got more. Like
if
Disney. Disney Plus has not only the Marvel universe, but they have like catalog of Disney. So
Mhm.
extensive. Like,
Yeah.
I just
If
don't think DC's powerful enough to be in that arena right now.
I think you definitely get the thing where they
Oh
do
yeah, that's
a
right. Sorry, I was
um
reading our uh notes there. Alan was just saying that 30 Rock special was announced. Yes, that is gonna be
hmm,
big for NBC as well.
yeah, I'm gonna be interested in a couple years where we're at with all these things. You
Mhm.
know, what's made it and what's not. I
An
think that
experiment for sure.
yeah, I think there's definitely an error. I mean, I'm sure it's easy to do. There's an arrogance to you get on a corporate board of something, and
Mhm.
then you're involved in that all the time, and you see the numbers and you see the engagement and all this such, and you think we can how important we are and how people
Mhm.
love us and all this stuff, and lose the bigger picture. Like
Mhm.
CBS is just CBS.
Right,
Like
yeah.
you've got network television. I mean, the only thing that's keeping that going so far is Star Trek.
True.
You've got Star Trek, Discovery, and Picard, and those things are um I'm not saying controversial, but lukewarm reception to
Right.
both of those things seems to
Well,
be the
we've
the
got
way it's gone.
we've got limited reach as well. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
those shows are keeping it afloat, but for how long? I
Yep.
mean, it can't go forever. I'm trying to think of something that it's I mean, think about like it's not gonna last 30 years like The Simpsons has. Um,
Right.
or, it's not as universally loved as something like NBC has The Office or Parks and
Hmm.
Rec. Like those are like longer running shows that are just so universal that just translate to more audiences. And that can keep that afloat for a while, perhaps longer than CBS can.
But those shows that people have seen, are they going to make them like jump over and pay for this? I've already seen it. This show
Mhm.
that was syndicated however many years ago and it's been done.
Mhm.
Do I need to now pay a monthly fee to be for the opportunity to go back and
Yeah,
rewatch some of those things?
sure. I think it
Or
I honestly don't know because I haven't, like, looked into I'm not interested in NBC's, streaming service at all, but
right,
it depends on the price. If it's like, I don't know, bucks a month, maybe, I
right,
mean,
but
when you think about, like, other platforms being, 12 or 15 or 20, who knows?
mhm, yep.
It's if it's cheap enough, I think there's some nostalgia pull there, and they're, like, solid classics that people would go watch. But, yeah, you're eventually gonna have to develop something new.
Yeah, I think and you're not going to be able to do that off $5 a month.
No.
The yeah. I don't know. I think there's some hubris here, and people should be, you know, there should be more companies that are a little more self-aware, thinking,
Mhm,
let's make a good deal someplace. Let's be someplace that people love, and let's have our content there. Because
mhm,
that's a whole set of infrastructure you don't need to maintain. That's a whole
exactly,
like set of legal you don't have to worry about. Like
exactly.
it's just a lot. And it's such an expense that I just see most of this could be the death knell, if I'm saying that right.
Now
The knell, yes, of the networks. They've already been like struggling along. They've had to be bought several times over by different, like you say, part of a different conglomerate. This might be the nail in the coffin for some of these things that
mhm,
just don't. need to exist, and they'll eventually put their stuff elsewhere, and people will be happier for it.
Agree. I think that they're either some of these channels are either going to have to band together in the way that like Disney did. Like you can do like Disney and ESPN and Hulu question mark. Like you can
Yep.
get like a whole package going
Yeah.
on and bundle it, or they're gonna go under and have to go back to like negotiate with Netflix or Hulu or or
But that's because it's
HBO.
the same company, you
Right,
know.
right.
So who's gonna buy who? I guess,
Mhm.
Time for Verizon to buy, some other network. So then we have
Right.
AT&T and Verizon as these big, I don't know. Anyways, Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol is on HBO Max. I'm looking more and more forward to HBO Max now. I think it's making more
Yeah.
sense, like you say, what's offered, how we get it, all that
Right.
sort of thing.
Right.
I
Yeah, it
don't probably
was
want to throw up the spoilers now.
it was quite the confusing rollout for HBO, and I think they realized it, and they're trying to make up for it. So good on you, HBO.
Hmm. Yep. So I watched episode 1 of
Mhm.
season 1 of Doom Patrol today. What
Same.
did you think? What did you think?
Yeah. Yeah. It was good. I liked it. It to me, I don't know. There are several thoughts. Like kind of right in the beginning, I had several different thoughts running through my mind. Um, I really felt like at the beginning, I was kind of watching like another superhero show. I had this
Okay.
weird moment where I was like, man, superheroes are like the new vampires in the sense
So
of
I saw
like,
that in
do
the
you remember?
comments. What's that mean? Yeah.
Yeah, so like a couple years ago, I feel like vampire shows everywhere. We were like obsessed with the
Mhm.
supernatural and we were like watching True Blood. We were watching like Vampire Diaries. And it was just like vampires were kind of just having this moment in, TV and cinema. Now I feel like we've really moved on to superheroes and kind of like gritty superhero shows are a thing now. Like we have Doom Patrol, we have Watchmen, we have The Boys. Like we're just kind of in that vibe.
Mhm.
So I don't know. So I
Yep.
kind of thought like, what is this show gonna do to be different? And it kind
Yep.
of be different. It kind of does some things that other shows do, but it does them well. I was also thinking like this is sort of a cross between like a Watchmen vibe, um, in the sense of like you have this like omniscient narrator that's, saying all these things that are happening, but then it's not really like a serious narrator. He's kind of goofy, like the way I imagine, or not imagine, but the way I perceived like the introductions of characters in the Amazon Prime show Hunters. They kind of had that like
Mm.
comic booky, like funny
Yep.
intro background. We're kind of doing that thing in here as well. I thought it was kind of, they were trying to do some things that other shows do, but do them in a different way. It's kind of fun to
Mhm.
watch, especially
Sure.
in the beginning.
Yeah. I I get I keep thinking like eventually I'm gonna get burnt out on the superhero thing, and I know that there's been a lot of talk of when that's gonna be over.
Yeah.
I think that's to blame on Marvel. Uh and
Hmm.
I appreciate the some other stories being told from the comic book world that aren't exactly a formulaic superhero kind of thing.
Yeah.
I know that's what I've appreciated. Ashley, in particular, has appreciated about DC and their like brand Vertigo and different companies is that understandably these writers and stuff get tired, and artists get tired of writing and drawing people that are your cliche, you know, man or woman in tights.
Hmm.
And so I personally am not tired yet of the um, comic book story in a different light. To me,
Hmm.
this is like take the X-Men. Some it's like some, and I'm coming into this not knowing anything about Doom Patrol. Maybe I'll look
Yeah, I
something
should
else
say
up.
I have almost 0 background with Doom Patrol
Yeah.
as well.
So to me, someone came at this and looked at X-Men and thought, well,
Mhm,
boy, isn't this kind of convenient? They're all crying that they're being, discriminated against, and mankind fears what they don't understand and all this stuff. But then in the end of the day, most of them have miraculous abilities and are amazing. What
mhm,
people which we aspire to be. Um,
mhm,
well, that's just kind of kind of fantasy land.
mhm.
So this is taking that and being, well, what if they were actually really gross? And
Right,
I know they talk about this in X-Men at different points too, but they're usually never with the main characters. They're with other characters that, oh, we feel bad and we understand your point. Now we go back to the cool ones, you know?
right, yeah.
Um,
Sexy ones that, like, don't have superpowers that would disfigure them in any way, or, people would look at it and be like, "Well, that's kind of lame,"
yep,
or,
right.
um, yeah, they just aren't, like, that troubling to their everyday life.
Yep. Mhm.
Yeah,
I
but
also like the cast.
yeah, I agree. That was part of actually the reason, when you suggested watching it, I was kind of, in because I love a lot of the
Hmm.
cast.
Yeah, we got
Brendan
James Bond.
Fraser,
Yep. Hmm.
Timothy Dalton,
Hmm.
Alan Tudyk, love him,
Hmm.
and, I should think, um
Bomer,
oh,
Matt
yeah,
Bomer.
yeah, oh my gosh, I totally forgot, um, but, I was trying to think of, the woman who plays Jane, real name, Diane Guerrero. I've seen her in a couple of different things, um, Jane the Virgin to Orange is the New Black, and I like her a lot as an actress as well.
Mm.
I think she has one of the most challenging jobs in it
Yeah,
from what I've seen from episode 1. I'm
right.
excited to see where she
Um,
takes it.
I am too. Yeah, for sure. And I like the relationship, the basic starting relationship that's formed between Brendan Fraser's character and
Mm,
her.
yes.
So, um, so let's see. I'm looking at some of your other notes. Okay, there's your
Yeah.
cross Watchmen Hunters. Yeah.
I
Uh,
sort of got X-Men about, like a quarter to a third of the way into the episode when, Timothy Dalton's introduced. He's got this house where he keeps all these like misfit kind of characters. I was like, all right,
mhm.
this is like a dark X-Men. I wasn't quite thinking that right away, but
Yep.
definitely that
So
vibe.
what's this Nazis? Why do we worry about so much about what's that about?
Yeah, okay. So this again, I had a lot of thoughts like kind of right at the beginning, and then as things were explained to me, I was, kind of invested in like, okay, and now I need to like buy into the universe and follow where this is going. But so right away in the beginning, we get this like setup clip of Alan Tudyk's character, and he is in South America. He's meeting an ex-Nazi um, who is going to perform an experiment on him to give him like super abilities. And just my first thought upon this being introduced, not knowing where the show was going, was, "Oh, no. We have another superhero show where Nazis are the bad guys." And
Okay.
I
Yeah.
just, like, I just wasn't
Yeah.
excited about it because
Yeah.
I just feel like a lot of the time in superhero shows, in superhero movies, Nazis are the bad guys. Like we take place in the 80s, we take place in current times with like older Nazis, who can't get over the
Mhm.
dissolution of the Third Reich. So, we're trying to create like a new world order. I'm just a little tired of that. Now Doom Patrol did defy my expectations in the sense of like it doesn't seem by the end of the episode that we're going to be focusing on Nazis. But
Right.
when I first thought about it and I kind of just like paused the episode to write down my thoughts, I was thinking like, man, I'm really tired of, you know, us investing in these like very complex, dark human superheroes, superheroes with flaws, with faults, um, and just, kind of taking them down and breaking them down from, these like exalted figures and giving them complicated pasts, tragic events that happen in their lives, a lot of different things that we can think about them. But then we can't do the same for our villains. We just like,
Sure.
and we've put too much thought into creating a superhero that's complex. Let's just throw the Nazis in there for them to battle against. Like, let's not make a
Mhm.
complex bad guy. So I was
I think that's a yeah. I
I was
get
just
you.
gonna
I
say
get what you're saying.
by the end of the episode, I was pleasantly surprised that, we're moving away from the Nazis, and that was just sort of like a blippy coincidence,
Yep.
or, uh, um, a building block for the plot to move forward, but we weren't gonna focus on.
Yep. I definitely uh I mean when I texted you earlier today and like Hollywood is slow to change and it seems like writers in Hollywood I mean, I get tired of a lot of tropes, tons of them.
Oh, yeah.
And I know they're easy and whatever, but there's all kinds of things that a person just gets sick of. You see it in a film wherever, like, wow, that's that's just lazy. We've seen this before.
Mhm.
So I agree, and I think that I don't know. What do you think? Is this well, a lot of people like Thanos for his that we get to see him and some complexity out. Because I was gonna say, is this
Yeah.
Marvel's fault? Because a lot of times in the mainstream Marvel cinematic universe, we don't have complex villains. But I'd say Thanos is an example. I would say in the Netflix stuff, we have examples.
Right.
Kingpin is spectacular.
Mhm.
And then you
Absolutely.
have Kilgrave, who's an interesting figure in
Right.
Jessica um, Jones, and then
Right. Or Killmonger in Black Panther, I think is a complex villain because, like, you understand part of his point, even though, like, you don't agree with his methods. They're capable of doing things, make complex villains. I think just sometimes, like, writers take the easy way out, and Nazis, unfortunately, are, like, staple of, like, "Oh, do you wanna signal that somebody's the bad guy?"
yep,
Nazis.
yeah. I mean, it's
Just, like, the
it's
easiest way. It's the easiest way,
yep.
honestly.
I get when they're trying to distill something, um, you know, I feel like it's another corporate issue where people are
Mhm.
like, okay, look, it's the same reason, people like to complain that we don't have enough female led action movies or something. Well, it's the same reason because you get people in high up offices, they're like, well, look, we need to have this muscular dude that is running this film, and we need to have this villain that is, if it's a hot topic now or whatever, so it's Nazis, or if it's a whatever, like pick your thing for the time or something and like give me these bullet points and make that happen. So then you get
Mhm.
this formulaic, uncreative, boring thing that
Mhm.
is just underestimating. Like it's like these people imposing their own like dogmatic views on the audience. Oh, the
Mhm.
audience is going to they see the world the same way I do, and I
Mhm.
expect this is what's going to sell, and something new never could.
Right.
And it's just, I mean,
It's
I get it.
disappointing.
Money controls where it goes, but yeah,
Right.
yeah.
No, it's disappointing, and I just that was just my first thought here was I was, uh, very, cautious about how much I was going to enjoy Doom Patrol or not because I thought, "Oh, here we go again with Nazis, the
Hmm.
bad guys,
Yep.
and, it's just gonna be very generic, and I'm sick of it." But like I said, Doom Patrol moved moved beyond that very quickly, which I was very glad to see.
Yeah. They seem to be self-aware in this show
Yeah. Mhm.
of like intentionally setting you apart from, what you would expect normally. If there's almost
Yeah.
doing a break they're doing a break, they broke the fourth wall, basically, the
Yeah,
narrator did.
absolutely.
Um So,
Which I enjoy. It's kind of a more, like I said, it's a more irreverent tone than we have like with Watchmen, the movie. Um,
mhm,
where we have the narrator there who kind of does the same thing, but this is even like more irreverent and more direct to the audience. So I thought that was really
mhm,
fun.
yep. Um, I'm looking at some of the other notes. The the ending being rather strange. I guess I agree with that completely. The ending being because it's like so. Well, let's see. There's a threat for sure to the town. They'll be
Right.
there now. Let's just go in and it'll make itself known. Whoever this threat is.
Right, it
That
was
was a
very
little odd.
strange, this sort of like I mean, I know it's like the natural, like, inspiring end, like, "Let's rally the troops and let's fight and let's make a stand," but it just wasn't set up very clearly, like, Timothy Dalton
Yep.
as the chief says, you've been out in the town now. They've seen you and they've seen your abilities. You've created a disturbance. This is going to be public news. People are coming for you, or something is coming for you. He's not even clear about that. And
Yep.
then
Right.
just sort of like, let's go into town then and stand up to whatever. So yeah, it was just
Yep.
a rather strange ending.
Yep. It would have been better, I think, for them to all agree or begrudgingly all agree that they're going to leave. And then
Mhm.
they don't get to leave because the threat shows up at their doorstep.
Yes, exactly.
So, and they could have left the thing a little like a little pan shot of the camera going down behind the bus or something that's leaving a trail of ooze or something. Oh,
Right.
wow, there's a thing for them to follow,
Right.
something like
Or
that.
whatever that donkey was at the end could have, stood in the middle of the road blocking the bus, and then,
Yes.
oh,
Hmm.
we've got something happening there, but yeah, it was a very
Yes.
odd choice of ending, I thought. Um,
Yep. I kind of forgave it once Alan showed up as this weird guy and
yeah.
and and if he is our antagonist here, I think that's very interesting because he's like narrator slash antagonist slash like but he doesn't seem like a villain. I read him as someone that is really just really chaotic. He's been
Mhm,
granted insane power and just sort of views
mhm.
people as ants and stuff, and he's just gonna play,
Yeah.
which is obviously dangerous, but I don't know. That's just what
Yeah,
I read into it.
I think he is the villain, which, I mean, it's sort of like intimated in the first episode. Um, really, like, undercuts his own effectiveness, like, right at the beginning when he's like, "I was a nobody, I was like a third rate,
Yep.
uh, guy in this organization, no name, no face, just like whatever." Um, so
Yep.
he does kind of like undercut himself as like a powerful figure, but it could be very interesting to see where that goes in future episodes if like the audience is
Yep.
so bought into this like, "Oh, I'm not really anything," and they underestimate him, then he could be capable of like some really crazy things that we're just not set up to see coming. Be very
Yep.
effective.
Yep. I'm excited to see where it goes. I've liked everything he does.
I do
Everything.
too.
I
Mhm.
mean, that I've seen. So I'm excited there. I'm also
Mhm.
very happy for Brendan Fraser. I am a big Brendan
Yeah.
Fraser supporter, and he hit a really rough spot. He's
Good.
had like injuries, gained weight, going through like depression and stuff, and divorce, and blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
And it sounds like this role was in a way a bit cathartic for him when I watched an
Agreed.
interview some time ago, so I don't remember a lot of it, but you can kind of see how if he gets injured in real life, loses his wife, and is having all these issues, physical injuries and such, that this role is a more extreme mirror of that kind
Yes.
of thing, and a
Yes.
regaining of who you are and your confidence and such. So,
Yes. I agree. I grew up with like the Mummy series. and watching Brendan Fraser in that, and that was just kind of like a big formative part of like my early movie tastes. Um,
Yep.
so, I've always liked Brendan Fraser. And like you said, like it's nice to see him kind of come back to what I think is a great role for him and he does a great job with. And honestly, doesn't ask him to be physically present all the time, which he probably doesn't want to be. You know what I mean? Like this
Yep.
is a nice like medium way for him to
Yep.
do some really great acting physically, but also like half the time he's in this, just in the recording studio doing the voice work, which is
Yep.
more challenging in a way, but he doesn't have to be physically present for.
Yep. I thought everyone, including him for sure, did a very good job. Definitely, I felt the emotion behind his
Mhm.
his story. I like that a lot, and yeah,
I
I was
liked Go ahead.
no, I'm trailing off.
Okay. I was just gonna say I liked kind of our three characters that we're introduced to. I mean, I know we're introduced to Jane as well, and Guerrero's character. She kind of comes in the latter half of the episode. So I liked like our kind of three main characters that we're introduced to in the first half, with kind of their background stories. I felt like they were very apropos um, for the characters in the sense of like their you know, quote unquote superhero selves and then their transformations and the kind of experiences that they went through. They're very fitting.
Mhm.
Like I kind of I wrote down like, you know, Brendan Fraser's character, Cliff, um, lives, pre story. He lives very much in his body. He's a race car driver. He depends on his physical abilities. Obviously, we're introduced to him as like a physical person where he's like cheating on his wife and having sex with all these different women. So obviously he's a very physical person.
Viral.
But yes, he's he's vigorous. Um
Yeah.
But I mean, like he lives in his body and he depends on that more than he has to depend on his brain to, really like
Yep.
be intellectual or think about things. And
Right.
then he's
That's a good point.
now as a superhero, he's confined to only his brain. He
Yep.
can't physically feel things. He can't physically do the things he could before. It's a very interesting flip for his character. Same with Rita, our 50s actress. She's all about herself and her looks and her appearance and the way she's presented to other people. Then she gets in this, like accident in which she inhales this like poisonous gas or substance
Yeah.
that makes her ugly. It completely takes away from that for her. She has to learn to
Mhm.
live with that. Matt Bomer's character, Larry, a little bit different, but the sense of like, he's this like perfect looking family man who believes that because he's sexual, he's a monster. Then after his accident becomes like what he feels like is the physical embodiment of a monster. It allows him to feel beautiful on the inside because his outsides are what imagined his insides to be like before.
Yeah.
It's all this very, like, thing apropos
It's
stories.
poetic. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. I
It
I
and
just thought that was really
yeah.
interesting and
I
well
I
done.
yep. I like that breakdown. Um, that's probably what it's gonna be the clip. That's good. That's well done, Andrea. Um,
Thanks.
I think it's, and I think that, uh, it seems to me like the writers are having fun playing with stereotypes and cliches and stuff, So, like, for instance, all these powers are gathered from different ways that have all been done in comics before.
Absolutely.
Oh, thing from space. Oh, horrible accident. Like, all these have been done, and we're gonna just do all of them.
Yeah,
All of them for our
exactly,
king.
exactly.
And
And they're all gonna be
mhm,
meaningful in different yeah,
yep,
absolutely. I love that you can, like, recognize something and then make it different.
yep, hmm
I kind of like the
yeah,
twist on, like, not everybody gets their superhero powers in the same.
yep. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do this for everyone. That's quite so. feels so perfect for a story that way. Like I say, poetic. But Jane, um, I really enjoyed the scene where she's painting.
Mhm.
I liked that a lot, and to me, that sold. That's part of what sold her performance. Um, she's in one mood and then it's raining and she switches to another kind of thing, and Brendan Fraser's character kind of comforts her, and I like that a lot. And so even though we didn't get to see like how her backstory is yet or whatever, and if it's seems like some sort of cosmic justice for the way she is or whatever, I appreciated what we've seen of her thus far. So
Yeah, I mean, this episode already had a lot of exposition, so I think trying to fit yet another
yep,
character's backstory in would have just been so much. Um,
yep,
so I imagine we'll be learning about her. And I mean, I think she's just a little bit more complex. I mean, we meet her and our narrator is like, "Okay, well here's Jane and her 64 personalities." It's kind of a
yes.
lot to try
Hmm.
and unpack about how you have 64 clear and distinct personalities in one
Yep.
physical body. So,
Yep.
imagine we'll be learning more about that.
I'm guessing we won't see all 64.
It'd be
If
a
it's
lot.
like, if it's like, I forget the movie. It has Professor X, the newer Professor X in it.
James McAvoy,
Trying to remember him.
Glass?
Yeah. What's that?
Yeah. No, not Glass. Sorry, that's the superhero movie
But
he's
yeah,
in.
Glass, and
Oh,
those
what's
movies. The,
yeah,
there's one like before that.
right, where he's got
Um,
23 personalities, right? And I think
yes.
we see
Hmm.
almost all of them in that movie.
Do we? But there's certain ones that are prominent, that are
Yes,
more
exactly.
the normal ones to be exposed. And I'm sure that we'll get that with Jane, where we have the 2 to 4 personalities that we see more
Mm,
often. And then
right.
on occasion, I mean, it's a perfect writing thing, you know, like you need to get out of a situation. It's going to be if they don't do it right, it could be a cheap thing at some point, like,
Absolutely.
oh, we need to get out of this situation, and oh, this other personality comes in that has this power that's just perfect for right now. Yes, Split, Alan says that's the one.
Thank you,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I agree.
So
It could be very easy, and very, like, Deus Ex Machina, like, the savior comes in and,
yeah.
just magically makes everything work. So, yeah, they've
Yep.
gotta balance that for sure, but it will be fun if we get extra personalities just because of different situations,
Yes.
and,
Mhm.
they don't automatically mean, like, this is the way out of this situation.
We already saw one for a moment in the first episode where they're like, what are we gonna do? And she just becomes this fire thing that's fire giant, basically becomes a
Yes,
fire giant.
yes.
And so that was fun.
I'm looking forward to learning what that is all about.
Yeah. Hmm. Yep.
Other than that, we had no indication of, like, any sort of, super ability, I mean, obviously,
Yep.
having 64 personalities isn't considered, having an ability.
But she has a different ability goes with each one, supposedly.
Right, right.
So,
Yeah, that could be very
well,
interesting.
do you? Yeah, I'm gonna be interested to see how they use the other. Like, so if the other guy has a sort of elect electricity kind of alien being in his
Oh,
body,
yeah, you mean that bomber?
is yeah, is that a way? Is that can you use that? Is that critical or useful in some manner? And then also being the blob, basically, or the
Yes,
ooze, you know.
yes, that's exactly what
Um,
I thought of, Bob.
mhm, yep. So, well, I have to say that um, I get the sense that maybe you're getting a little drained on the like your one mention here of what is our fascination with like damaging our superheroes, and so I understand that kind of thing or whatever. Like maybe you're getting worn on this kind of thing a little bit, um I certainly really liked it. I certainly had pretty positive thoughts after the first episode. Do you have a summation, or you want to expand on your damage or fascination with damaging of superheroes?
I just it wasn't, I mean, I think it can get wearing, much like anything can get wearing after time, like, things come in and out of fascination, I think, with broader public. We get this influx of shows featuring, the same kind of premise or, at least in the same kind of vein, um, and they can, get pretty stale if you don't do something new. But I just think it's really interesting that, for right now, our moment is not only superheroes, but flawed superheroes, damaged superheroes. Are we sort of looking at these shows thinking, I don't want my superhero heroes to be that super. Do I want them to seem like me? I want them to seem like what I could be should, a freak accident happen with, maybe not, an interstellar space storm, but, like a poisonous substance that I encounter or an accident that I have and I'm rebuilt. Like, I think it's a really interesting um, premise to think about because superheroes, by their very definition, are supposed to be super. They're supposed to be a little bit larger than life. And yet, I think right now our cultural moment is bringing them back down a little.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I get tired of the idea that, the television shows that we get sometimes where no one is good, basically.
Mhm.
Everyone's
Yes.
garbage. So, I have trouble with that sometimes. Superheroes, I kind of go along with the idea that they are our modern mythology. And if you go along with that, mythological figures are immensely flawed. And so
Mhm.
you see a lot of the times, like Hercules, you see the Disney movie Hercules, and he's a hero, he's the hero guy, whatever. I've only seen parts of the film, but he's what you'd
Tragedy.
expect. But what's that?
It's a tragedy.
Yeah, right.
One
But
of the greats of cinema
Hercules,
right there.
oh, Ashley loves that movie too. Yeah, for sure. Um,
But
but I mean, the Hercules in when you look in the rest of mythology was a character that actually became quite a tragic, sad, awful character.
right,
He was punished by the gods and was sent before the like Amazonians and had to ask for this item from a friend and ended up killing a whole bunch of people. Like it was just, I mean,
killing
it's
his own
bad.
wife
It's
and
bad news. What's that?
wife and child, much like we see in Doom Patrol with Cliff Steele. He's killed his wife and child,
Yep.
potentially. We
Yep.
don't know if his daughter's
Mhm.
alive or not. I mean, I agree with you. I think the idea of like flawed heroes isn't new, but I think we're having a refascination with it.
Yep. 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 For sure. Um, yes, I agree.
Hmm.
I think it's without going out on too much more tangent. I guess it's just that I think that they we run into problems, and it's thanks to people like Christopher Nolan. We run into problems when you're going to have your heroes, and you're going to try to make it real. You want to make
Mhm.
it feel real. Audiences have greater expectations in ways that they want to feel that something could be and that it is real, and things look so real now and such that you run into issues. Obviously, a superhero, a vigilante, that's not legal. You can't do that.
Mm.
You can't support Batman, you know, like it just can't, it's not possible because it's one man's Batman that's a hero is the next person's villain because they disagree on who they're taking out and whatever. So it automatically introduces moral ambiguity and issues. Daredevil runs into this too. Daredevil's a hero, so he doesn't want to kill anyone. Well, you beat people with an inch of their life already and decide who you get to do that to, you're wrong. So we have to decide where we want to suspend our disbelief. Do we want to have fun with superheroes and just pretend like we could all get behind this person and they could do great things? Or do we want to analyze how that's wrong, kind of thing? So,
Right.
yeah.
And I think, there are moments where we do, even though that, like, a lot of, like I was saying, our superheroes are kind of darker and grittier now, we do have those moments of like balancing out, like DC has Shazam. There's
Yes.
almost
Hmm.
none of that like dark questioning. It's like just light, it's fun, it's kind of throwback, like very 50s superhero where
Yeah.
Superman is like funny and like, has a light heart and he like beats the bad guy, but like there's no like real grit to it.
Yep.
He's just larger than life. He's having fun with what he's able to do. He saves the world. Right. So I think, there's a recognition that, they can't be or like Ragnarok. It's just like a fun, like synthy pop
Yes.
superhero rather than like this dark exploration. So
Yep.
think you kind of have to balance it out, and I think like a lot of studios are recognizing that, but on the whole, superheroes are a lot darker, grittier, messier, complicated than they used to be.
Yep. All right. So as you said, gladiator style, thumbs up, thumbs down. On on three, are we going to continue watching the show? On three.
Right.
One, two, three. In the frame. Yes. Okay. All right. So everybody,
I
that's
say we let
been Doom. What's that?
it live. Have
Yep.
another day.
Yep. So that's Doom Patrol season 1, episode 1. We just started that. I hope a lot of people are giving this show a chance now that it's on a platform that people have, a streaming service that people actually have. And season 2 is coming. So get ready and watch season 1 along with us. We don't do this as homework. We're here having a conversation. I hope it feels that way to all of you, and you can have this conversation with us in the comments and such. Our plan now is each midweek going forward, we will continue to break down each episode one by one. Join us for that if you'd like. That will be on Twitch live and then on YouTube only. It won't be in podcast form like this one is. Um, so that's where to look for that. And then each week we'll do our gladiator style vote. And if we get in a while and it's like we can't come to a unanimous decision on whether we should continue or not, then we'll drop it. We'll move on to something else. Um, and unless we get like tons and tons of followers and they're all like, you must continue, your opinions are so valued,
Right.
I will
Petition to save.
protest. Yes. Right. So you can let us know, all that kind of thing. Otherwise, we check out our website, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. I did another game stream on Gamecast on the Rocks, our sister network on Twitch. That will also come to YouTube. Today was Paladins. I played with my brother-in-law, Lucas333. That's Lucas with a K. So check him out on Twitch. He's usually 3 days a week. Andrea, is there anything you would like to plug or add, or where should
I
people
was
find you? Or
just gonna say, if we're gonna speak of Luke, we should speak of his other venture, Killing the Flower. Is
that's
responsible
right.
for our theme song.
Yep. Theme song, Killing the Flower. They are on Instagram and probably most importantly, Spotify. So give them a listen.
Yes, they're awesome.
And yeah. Anything else?
That about wraps it up for this week.
All right. Well, you have fun in Duluth. That'll be exciting.
Do.
And let me know how it goes.
Right, yeah, well, I'll be back here next Wednesday. You know where to find me.
Perfect. All right. Well, that's us signing off. Thanks for joining us. Everybody, have a good night.
Cheers.